The past couple of albums from Big Ups have been pretty impressive for the post-hardcore genre. I think their debut, 18 Hours of Static, that was a really solid debut, even though it was very much embedded in like the emo post-hardcore genre. They managed to make some funny, witty type of lyrics that were a little bit sarcastic, but at the same time actually had a little decent emotional impact too, with the way they threw out their belts and wails and blah. The singer is pretty expressive, can have a decent range with what he's talking about. You know, it's not really one note, but I think that there's something there in the guy. But it was taken away a little bit on their next album. I think it was still really good, made my year-end list. It just felt a bit more Slint influence. The Slint influence was pretty damn obvious, but it didn't really hinder their music. I just think their debut was a lot more better than the follow-up. Still, two solid albums in a row. I was looking forward to their latest one too. And it's alright. Two parts together is an okay album, I guess. It's what you expect, I suppose, from post-hardcore bands. It's not particularly anything I've not heard before though. It's certainly embedded in the roots of the genre. Kind of a shame really. I think there was something about Big Ups that separated themselves from other bands when they first started out, but as they've progressed, 4 years later, they're kind of another band in the sea of bands that are already doing this sound. Very much 90s influence, you get a bit of Drive Like Jehu on here, also Slint again. And it's one of those albums that just does what it's doing well. I can't really say much else other than that. It's not going to be a particularly detailed review or long review because I just find that this album doesn't really offer me that much. Nothing stands out too much. I think that the issue with this album to me is that you have these moments where the instrumentation comes crashing in on the choruses, but you have these pretty dull, redundant verses that are monotonously delivered, just kind of dragging along with his voice, which works for the... I don't know if it does work, actually, to be honest. It would definitely work more if there was more variety, but I feel as though most of these tracks go for the same formula. I don't know, the choruses are definitely the most interesting parts of the songs. Some of the harsh noise that comes through, it's pretty grimy at points, especially on tracks like PPP. This is absolutely the most hard-hitting track on the album. I feel as though the instrumentation from start to finish just feels crisp in a way that not many of the other songs seems to do. It's just a shame though that even this being the best song, I still don't feel like I'm being hit by much. Like on the debut, you'd be able to at least pull out some lyrical themes that really had an impact in some kind of way, or at least something to offer, whereas most of this album doesn't really give you that at all. This album starts fizzling out towards the end. Even at 30 minutes long, you would think that they would try and give you something to chew on, but it could have been like a 20-minute album really, because the last few tracks just don't really do much as anything for the band. I feel like they've really fallen into a bit of a slog, to be honest. Like, at least with classic post-hardcore albums, you have this kind of experimentation going on. There was elements of like mathcore being like embedded into the sound, which gave it a really unique sound for its time and ended up influencing a lot of other bands from the 2000s. Whereas this album doesn't really give you much at all. It's like, Rolo Tomasi managed to craft an album that had lots of different styles and influences in, whereas Big Ups kind of just fall into an easy sort of slow lane, really, like just kind of coasting down, just taking things easy, which wasn't really what they were about when they first started out. So I can't help but think I'm a little bit disappointed with what we got here. I think it's a fine album though. There's nothing really done wrong. The instrumentation is solid throughout. The production is good. This is still a good band making music that they know how to make. There's not really anything on here that's outright bad. So I guess I can't really complain too much with what we've got given. It just doesn't really interest me that much at all. I feel like they could have given us more than what they have here. It's an okay release. It's fine. I think it's definitely their worst to date, so I'm going to go with a C minus. Nothing too bad on this album, but nothing really to give you much of an impact by the end of it. It leaves you wanting a little bit more, and you kind of end up forgetting most of the tracks by the end of the 30 minutes, which is a bit weird because usually longer albums do that to you. But yeah, Big Ups didn't quite hit the mark with this one. Let me know your thoughts if you've heard this album. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews if you enjoyed this review, and do have a good day. Have a good day.